Hello, this is Luke, and welcome to another video in my series on my channel Polymathy about the Latin language. And in this video, we're going to talk more about the pronunciation of Latin, specifically about metrical feet. The Latin language has distinct long and short syllables and also long and short vowels. What this does is it creates a natural rhythm of long and short syllables in Latin, both in speech as well as any form of prose, and most especially in poetry. This is very important for understanding the best parts of the literature of Latin. All words and sentences in Latin can be broken up into convenient terms. For example, if we only talk about two-syllable words, we will talk about disyllables. And here are the four possible types of disyllables. These terms are all originating from Greek, since the Greeks invented almost everything, especially when it comes to poetry. The dibrach is two short syllables in a row. Now, what do I mean by a short syllable? Well, a short syllable is like two short notes, short musical notes in succession. For convenience today, I'll just say two quarter notes, something like that. But it could also be two eighth notes or something. It's relative, just like music is also relative. Music is actually much, much more complex than the rhythms of metrical poetry. And an iamb would be something like, we'll just say a quarter note and a half note. A trochee, something like a half note followed by a quarter note. And a spondee, something like two half notes together. And this is a very simple way to understand it, especially if you are familiar with music already. If you don't, that's okay. You don't have to know anything about music in order to understand this. A dibrach has a rhythm of two short syllables in succession. Bum bum, bum bum. An iamb will be a short followed by a long. Bum bum, bum bum. Now the tapping here, you can't hear the duration of the second one. You just hear the two contacts. But with my voice, I go bum bum, la la. Trochee, long followed by short. Bum bum, bum bum. And a spondee, two longs. Bum bum, bum bum. That's what these terms for rhythm mean. So let's look at some words in Latin which actually have these particular rhythms. Let's find a word in Latin that is a dibrach. One that's very common, the word ita, which means thus or so, ita. Short, short. We can even mark the duration of each syllable underneath it. Ita, ita, short, short, ita. What are some other words like that? Bene. And maybe another one. How about bona? Bona. Now, the shortness of these rhythms is very important. Sometimes people who aren't familiar with the importance of this will stretch the stressed syllable. This is particularly common in Italian speakers of Latin. They will often make dibrachs into trochees. And this is true also of English speakers and German speakers, but it's especially common with Italian speakers because in the phonology of Italian, this is a very important part about speaking Italian correctly. In Latin, though, it's different. A trochee is long short. So instead of saying ita, you might hear someone mispronounce ita, or instead of bene, you might hear someone say bene. And bene is the word in Italian, but bene is the Latin word, which is spelled the same and pronounced very similarly. And bona, classical Latin, but bona would be the incorrect trochee pronunciation, long followed by short. Another word, and we'll see a minimal pair for this later, the word duce, the ablative form, meaning by means of a leader, duce, short, short. What are some Latin words that are iambs? These are actually a good deal more common, I would say. Now, of course, we can find these rhythms anywhere in poetry and prose if we break words apart, but today I'm only showing discrete words for the sake of simplicity. So what is a word that's an iamb? One that comes to mind is Garo. This means meat or flesh. Short, long. Garo. Garo. And what's another one? Ama. Ama. Short, long. How could we mispronounce these? Well, we could make them again, maybe something like a spandi, saying garo or ama, or sometimes reverse it completely into a trochee, saying garo or ama. But those are not exactly what we mean to say. We mean garo, short, long, ama, short, long. What are some others? Quite a few, actually. Suos or sui, sui. The possessive words like suo, sui, suas, suai, all of these are short, long. They're all iams. But there are other words here like sua and mea, but meai and meas and all of them, all those words. So this is an important distinction. Sua, mea, suai, meai. Well, what about trochee words in Latin? Well, we have a lot of these as well. Ille, long syllable, and then a short syllable. Why is the syllable long? It's long because the syllable ends in a consonant. Why does the syllable end in a consonant? Well, if I were to break up the syllable ille, let me break it up right here. I would write il, and then I would want to start a syllable with a consonant, and I would want to then take any other consonants and attach them to the end of the previous syllable. This syllable ends with a consonant, it is therefore long. This one doesn't end with a consonant, and it has a short vowel. This is the short vowel symbol, which is redundant, because any vowel that's unmarked in Latin is inherently short. There's only short and long vowels by nature in Latin. So since this one is short, the whole syllable is therefore short. Ille is a trochee. Long and then short. What are some others? Facta, facts, deeds. Facta, hora. Long vowel in the syllable makes it a long syllable. And a short one. Hora, ire, to go. Ire, cara, cara, dear one, cara. And then spandis are disyllables that have two long syllables. For example, duces. Duces is the future of the verb duco, ducere, meaning to lead. Duces means you will lead. Duces is you will lead. Duces, but this is contrasted with a different word, which is duces, which means the leaders. And this is why in so many videos I talk about the importance of understanding syllable quantity in Latin. This is an example of what's called a minimal pair. A minimal pair is in any language when there are two words that are identical except for one phonemic difference. Now, what makes those differences phonemic, that is, essential parts of the sounds of the words, depends on the language. But in Latin, the most critical aspect of the phonology is syllable quantity, as it is in other languages like ancient Greek, Japanese, Finnish, Czech, and Hungarian, as well as others, Sanskrit, for example. So the first syllable in the leaders is du. The first syllable in you will lead is du, du, du. And we can really hear them together. Duces, the leader. Duces, you will lead. And this distinction ends up being the most important part of understanding the sound of Latin literature. Let's look at another. Spandi. Illi. So ille means that, and illi means those. Ille, illi. So it's not just the sound of the vowel, it's the length of the whole syllable, which is different. Illi, acti. And that would be different from a trochee, like I'll put another trochee up here. Acta, acta, long, short, but acti, long, long. So acti is distinct from acta, long, short, long, long. Facta, well, now we can do factos, just to choose one. Factos, factos, long, long, factos. And earlier we looked at karo, which is an iamb, but there is another word, karo, karo. This means for the dear one. Karo, it's dative case, karo, karo. And that is distinct from the meat, which is karo. Now, you are an English speaker, I presume, because you are understanding me. Maybe you're not a native English speaker. But we English speakers do not intuit this distinction. We do not make final vowels long very easily. And we also don't make a vowel that is under stress, as in the ka is the stressed syllable in both here. We don't make this vowel short very easily. To say karo, to make an iamb, is a significant challenge for us. It is, however, fundamental to the Latin language. Karo, karo. And we can add another one here, another version of this, which is a more colloquial variant, a variant we see in certain poetry. I'm putting the short mark here because normally the all final o in Latin are long by nature. And here I'm shortening it because that's a feature of the colloquial Latin language and occurs also occasionally in poetry. So this is an important part of Latin literature, this shortening of final o. It's especially common, for example, in the plays of Plautus. So caro is the same in meaning as caro. It's just that we're shortening the vowel here. And then caro. So here we have spandi, and then we have a trochee, and then we have an iamb. And these two happen to mean the same thing, but this one does not. Ah yes, I forgot to put my dibrac markings there. Now that we have reviewed the basic die syllables, let's look at some other Latin words, and I'll ask you, what is the length of the first syllable in iten? Iten. Can you recognize what kind of a die syllable it is? Is it a dibrac, an iamb, a trochee, or a spandi? Iten. Iten. We could divide the word somewhere in the middle. We're actually not sure yet. How would we divide this word into two syllables? We know it's two syllables because we're only dealing with two-syllable words today. Well, we would, in fact, cut off the vowel and then, if possible, and it is possible in this word, start the next syllable with that consonant, the T, that's in the middle of the word, and then we have iten. So I, a short vowel, a short syllable, the syllable is short, ten. Well, if this M were in here, it would just be te, and that would certainly be short. But it ends in a consonant, and these words are all taken out of any context of a sentence. So if it ends in a consonant here, we can safely say that this is here a long syllable. If a vowel were to follow, well, let's say all bets are off. Something different might happen. If a consonant were to follow, it almost certainly would stay long, but that's a discussion for much later in this series of videos. So what is iten? It's an iamb. Here's another one. Duko, duko. Let me clap that rhythm. Duko, duko. Can you guess what kind of a die syllable it is? If you guessed spandi, you're right. Duko. And why? Because it has two syllables, which I'll divide like this. Du has a long vowel in it. Well, that makes it a long syllable if there's a long vowel in the syllable. And ko, same thing. Long vowel, long syllable. Duko. And it's a spandi. Tua. Tua. What do you think? What kind is this one? Tua. It is a dibrac. Two syllables. The first syllable does not contain a long vowel, and the first syllable does not end with a consonant, so it is short in duration. And the second syllable, the same. Tua. Tua. This is a dibrac. Tua. How could this be pronounced incorrectly? Tua. Tua. Tua is a word in Italian. When it's emphasized in the way that I'm exaggerating it, it's pronounced in this, and I'm putting a star here, meaning this is not correct. The star means not correct. It's pronounced in this fashion, sometimes in Italian, tua. However, this is not the Latin pronunciation anywhere in the classical literature. It's always short, tua, tua. That is, the first syllable is always short, tua. It's a dibrach. How about this one? Miles, miles. So we can hear miles. And this one may be a bit more challenging. It ends with a consonant. We're not certain what might happen if this word were put into the context of a longer sentence. If a vowel were to follow, things might be different, but out of context, this syllable ends with a consonant, so it is definitely long. And this one has a long vowel, so it's long. This one is a spandi, miles, just like duco. The ko, the final ko is long because it has a long vowel. This one has a long consonant, and that's what makes it a long syllable. What about this one? Probo, probo. It is an I am, probo. Very good, probo. Again, how would the incorrect pronunciation of this be? And I'm emphasizing that because it's very, very common for speakers of English, German, even Spanish to mispronounce iams as trochees, or occasionally a dibrach. So an iam, short and then long. As an English speaker, this does not come naturally to me. I had to train this. But you can do that too, just like music. Probo, short, long, probo. The incorrect pronunciation would be something like probo, or even making it a trochee, probo. Not a classical Latin pronunciation. We'll do one more dissyllable today. Eunt, eunt. What do you think? Well, the first syllable is e, and it's a short vowel. It doesn't end in a consonant. That syllable is short. The second syllable, oh, short vowel, but 2 consonants at the end, definitely a long syllable. It takes more time to utter that syllable. Therefore, it is long. Eunt. And let's do one more pretty word. Let's do bella, bella. Well, the first syllable, bel, we have 2 L's, and we usually will, in fact, we'll certainly always divide those L's, not have them both in the same syllable if we can help it. The la is short. The bel is long, not because the vowel is long, but because the syllable ends with a consonant. Bella. And this word sounds exactly as it does in Italian. So if you want to hear an Italian say the word bella, they'll do a perfect trochee. And if you guess trochee for that, you are right. So these are just a few examples. Next time, we'll look at trisyllable words in Latin, and after that, all the varieties of tetrasyllables. For more information about this topic, see my video about hidden quantity, as well as the Roman versions of these long marks, which we call macrons, and the Romans had them too. They just called them apices, and they were shaped like acute accent marks that are used in Spanish today. Thanks for watching and subscribing. I'm Luke, and this is Polymathy.
Ludebamus amore facili, ad non quolo modo cellari, o ipse credo in hoc eris, cur me